Welcome back to the Seeda podcast, where we talk about all things marketing mix modeling. Today, I'm very happy to have our customer in the studio with me, Joel Goodsir, who's head of marketing for Inspirations Paint. Welcome, Joel.
So glad to be here. Thank you.
And also, Elisa is dialing in on video today as well. Thanks for joining us, Elisa.
Hello. Thank you.
So, Joel, we've been working together now for about 6 months, believe it or not. And when we started working together, you had never experienced marketing mix modeling. Before we get into marketing mix modeling, would you mind maybe telling us a little bit about yourself and about Inspirations Paint?
Yeah, sure. I've been a career marketer my whole career, about 25 years, and always in kind of retail. And I've got a passion for retail. So Inspirations Paint are paint stores, and they're the largest network or chain of paint stores in Australia with about 20% market share. So they're a fairly big player in the paint market. That we sell about 25 million litres of paint a year in the Australian market. So you could think of like every fifth building is kind of painted in paint that came from one of our stores, right?
Cool.
So look, we started in 1979 in Newcastle. It was called 3D back then. But we've been Inspirations Paint for quite some time. And so it's a 46-year-old company. It's always had a strong relationship with Dulux. We sell Dulux paint. We are, as I said, the largest network of stores, but we got acquired by Dulux in 3 years ago.
Right.
So they're the market leader as a manufacturer. They have their own stores as well. So together we have a network of almost 250 stores. We kind of dominate on the trade side of the market, and then on the retail side, selling to DIY customers. It's a much harder market dominated by corporate hardware chains like Bunnings and Mitre 10. So we're a smaller player there, but a lot of the marketing we do is to try and grow both sides of the business, but especially the retail, because there's more margin obviously in that than the trade side of the business.
Okay, thank you. And despite being a career marketer, you had never had the opportunity to work with marketing mix modeling before.
No.
Before you understood what it was, tell us honestly, like what was your honest opinion around the technology and whether it could be useful or not?
Sure. Yeah. So I had heard of it and spoken to some of my contemporaries, other marketers that I speak to, and a few work for larger businesses because we're a medium-sized business. We turn over almost 400 million a year. But some of my friends that are marketers for multi-billion-dollar companies, I'd ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh, yes, we pay, 7 figures to one of these big global companies to do the modelling, and it's very involved. This is a number of years ago." And I'm like, well, what were the results? And they're like, inconclusive. It's like, okay, right, that sounds expensive and not awesome. The idea of it, great, but I just hadn't had any really positive understanding or evidence of it working really, really well for the people in my network. And then it wasn't until we came across you guys that we had, you advised us how things had changed with AI and it was now accessible.
Great for mid-sized businesses like yourself. Okay, and then before we kicked off, we found a way to make it accessible and cost effective for mid-sized businesses. Where was your level of skepticism around its usefulness in the business at the start?
Well, I guess it was one of those things where it kind of all sounded too good to be true. Like, we can, put all your sales into a model, and we can put your advertising into the model, and it can then predict your future sales to this high level of accuracy. And it sounded amazing. And we can attribute where your sales are coming from by advertising medium, which is obviously the holy grail that every marketer, every advertiser wants to know. So it kind of sounded a bit too good to be true. But as marketers, we search for this kind of holy grail our whole careers. So you gotta try it out.
Yeah, and that was so we've been through an extensive onboarding with you now for the last few months, and we've kind of shown you the best of what's available in the industry. Where is your too good to be true scenario a few months ago? Where is that now?
Yeah, well, we've been pretty impressed with seeing it in the model in operation. Obviously, we've done this. Kind of trial period, or this initial period to get the model working and to get all our data in there, and both our sales data and our advertising data. And so that's been a good process to really make sure we're uploading all the right data and finessing that. And I think it's been really worth spending time getting that right. Good data in, good data out, that type of thing. Then just understanding more about it. I think we've asked you, my team and myself have asked you guys a whole bunch of dumb questions, and continue to, and will continue to get our heads around it, to understand how it works, how to use it, what it means. And we're really at a point now where we've committed to subscribing with you, because we do believe in it, and have gotten to that stage of understanding and faith to a degree, because you're never going to understand the inner workings of this model as a layperson. It's not going to happen. So, but when you can see the inputs and the outputs, and you can start testing things, and that's where it's all going to come together. So we're looking forward to the next stage, where we can go deeper, look at it more from through different lenses, and a bit more granular. But at the moment, we're feeling pretty good about it, and think we're onto something that's going to help us, really assess the few $1 million a year we spend on advertising, and make sure we're spending it in the right areas.
Great. And I have a quote here from you. In one of our first meetings, you referred to marketing mix modeling as a magical wizard box. Do you remember that statement?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So is that still a term that you would think of, or how was your kind of learning around going through the process? How you said as a lay person you're never going to understand it, but where would you see it being now?
Yeah. Look, I think I understand it a bit better, but no, it's still a magical wizard box, and probably always will be for me. But that's what we're paying for, right? We want it to do all the insanely big analysis, and come out with a really easily digestible information to allow us to base decisions on.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm happy about is that it's not this type of model where the outputs are still quite theoretical, or not very implementable or practical. The way the dashboard works, we can see on the saturation curves for each medium exactly what the return is at different spend levels, and what's nice too is that some of your team have been marketers and marketing managers before, and I think that's why you've probably got it right in the way you're representing the outputs, because they're actually actionable and useful.
Yeah, great. And was there, throughout the last few months, was there any kind of one aha moment in the journey that you'd like to share, and what really jumped out for you?
Yeah, I think there's a few actually. So is it called the contribution graph?
Yeah. Layer graph or contribution graph.
Yeah, the contribution graph. That's a cool thing for a lot of reasons. So it just kind of shows all your sales apportioned to your baseline, and then each of your advertising mediums and promotions and whatnot. And the reason why it was so cool to see it with about 2.5 years worth of data in it was, it gave you a really nice look at the cyclical nature of our annual sales as well. So we really got to see the seasonality, which we could have done ourselves. We didn't need the model for that, but it's just nice to see it, but also see it layered. And a few surprises in there for us. One was the peaks. The troughs we understood, we're closed for Christmas, a lot of our paid stores, and you expect to see it drop to zero on Christmas Day when everyone's closed, and that's all good. But yeah, those peaks were really represented by one particular aspect or driver of our sales, which was kind of news to us. And also just seeing the baseline and going, wow, okay, most of our sales are, basically represented or there because of the brand awareness and brand equity we've built up over time, and it's around 90% for us. Happy to share that. And then, that 10% is driven by all the advertising and promotions we do in various ways, and there's a pretty decent return, but we obviously want to optimize it. So I'd loved that contribution chart, absolutely. But then the thing that I guess really gave me a lot of faith in the model and understanding it better was when you guys showed how you put the data in the model, but you leave out a few months worth of sales and advertising data, and you get the model to predict what those few months should be, like at the very end of this long multi-year period of data. And then when you explained to me that you then, take all the data out and put it back in again, but have a different 3-month section missing, like in the middle or towards the beginning, and you do this multiple times, getting the model to predict what sales will be in that period until the model can do that with, that high level of confidence, statistically, significant levels at that confidence interval. So that was really, for me, who's always been a strong believer in the numbers and statistical significance, and really understanding the repeatability and validity of things. They need to be able to be repeated over and over. So that kind of really clinched it for me, in that I thought, yeah, okay, this model can predict our sales. So yeah,
great.
It's so nice to hear you say, so simply what we do with all the testing, because part of my work is explaining complex things and making it simple so that everyone can understand and actually take action from it. So yeah, it's so nice to see it, you repeat it and exactly spot on what we do, and it's really nice. And yeah, I think it's really about that partnership of making sure that we take a very complex problem, do a complex model, but then simple results, so that, when you come in and use them, exactly what to do with them and what they mean. And so, yeah, it's nice to see that come together and from your words.
Well, you can always count on me to dumb it down, Lisa. But no, it's, it's essential to have a lot of honesty in this process, and we've put our hands up a bunch of times and said, we don't know what that means, please explain. And similarly, why we've liked dealing with you guys at Seeda is you're really transparent as well. So when there's been something that didn't make sense, or you didn't understand, or you couldn't put forward, you were the first to kind of go, look, we haven't included this because we're not confident in it for these reasons, and in order to get confident with it, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And until we do that, we're going to leave it out. And that's, as a client, you want that level of transparency and honesty when it comes to my boss and I were trying to pronounce it, the collinearity. Is that it, Elisa?
Yeah, exactly.
Good job.
Linearity. we debated whether there was 2 L's or 1. It had 2. We thought maybe there should only be 1, but you'll be pleased to know we discussed this at length.
This is fantastic to hear. And I remember the meeting where we actually presented. You were the first ever client where we went into that level of detail with the testing and the rigor and the transparency, and sharing all of the statistical numbers that show whether it's a good model or not. And you were the first client because we had been holding back so much. We didn't want to overload clients with confusing information. And we didn't know when we presented it to you for the first time, we didn't know whether we would confuse you or help you clarify. So your feedback at the end of that session, that you actually really understood it and you really got value from understanding the process, was really good for us. And we've then since started actually sharing the model outputs and the process we use more openly with all of our clients. And I'd say, Elisa, it's having a really good effect across all of our client base. What would your thoughts be there, Elisa?
Yeah, 100%. I think, in part of simplifying the problems, we tend to, just show one lens. But I think it's nice to have that conversation piece of saying, well, this is everything. We can discuss in as much detail as you want. And if a client doesn't care about, the intricate numbers, that's fine too. But it's, I think it's giving them the option to have those discussions. And in the end, I think, what we're trying to build over the years is really a partnership of saying, okay, right now we need a lot of support on this particular issue, and we'll give all the background because we want to include the CFO in the conversation, the CMO, all the marketing team. Or in other moments, it's really, we're just optimizing this campaign. Only one person is involved. And I think that's kind of the conversations we tried to drive. And from each conversation, we need different information pieces. And so, I think we've learned to say that everything's out there and then have, the conversation actually drive on what we want to spend more time on.
Mm. Yep, it's been good. So I think the other thing that we're starting to use now is the dashboards that you've given us, and so this might be interesting for anyone listening. So we'd been through this process over multiple months, and I got to the point where I was comfortable, to sign off on it, but I obviously needed to loop our business manager, effectively our CEO, in. And so I had to explain marketing mix modeling to him in about 10 minutes and show him the results and show him the dashboards and get him to sign the check. So that was interesting. But he's a very smart guy. He's ex-engineer and very good at maths. And so we went through it all, and he was really interested in it. And I said, Rob, I said, if in the future, if we get really, really good at this, we'll be able to predict exactly the increases in sales we can get from particular increases in budget. And of course, his first response was, well, that also means that we can then spend less and get the same result we're getting now. He's obviously, saying that half jokingly, but yeah, no, it was good to. So you need to, my point is, you need to understand enough about it to be able to sell it in to the business. Because although you guys are great and you'll have as many meetings as we want, and with all the stakeholders, at the end of the day, we need, as the client, the client's got to drive it internally, and I think one of the other really important things was getting our media buying agency on board. And so we had that really great open session with them. And I think you guys might have been surprised with how kind of into it and up for it they were. And they knew more than me. They knew what they were talking about. They're smart cookies over at Slingshot Media. And so we got their feedback and my team's feedback. And yeah, it's all systems go now.
Yeah, that's great. And I always like to go and do a hero versus villain scenario for MMM, because, it does uncover so much insight. There's always something you learn around a villain, and then there's always also a hero. So if you're comfortable, would you mind picking, of all of the channels, like you've got such a good channel mix because you're omni-channel retail. It was such a good modeling project. Would you mind, if you can remember, which would your villain channel be, and then which would your hero channel be that you've uncovered some additional insight as well?
Yes. Look, I think for us, so I should preface this by saying that the modeling we've done to date has all been based on national data. We haven't been breaking it down by region, and we're going to be doing that going forward, which is really exciting. But through a national lens, the villain, sadly, for them has been radio. And, we know with the media fragmentation and the digitalization of media over the last, 20 years, that the kind of end of print, and it's still kind of clinging on. But radio and TV, free to air, have both been losing about 3% a year for a long time now, and that continues. They've still got really big audiences, and they're probably second and third in terms of, or at least third and fourth in terms of the largest mediums. But the model kind of shows that we haven't been getting the returns nationally from radio that we would have liked, and which is really, as a client, as a business, disturbing, because you don't want to be investing in mediums that aren't giving you the return, because you want to be doing the best for. We're a franchise business, so we effectively work really hard for our franchisees. So we're definitely looking at radio. And the other thing which we should say is it's never black and white, and you guys were quite judicious in your recommendations too around, maybe tweaking some spend, 20% measure again. Our 20% measure again. It's not like turn off the tap tomorrow and cancel $1 million of radio. That's not happening. But it definitely gives us the motivation to break some multi-year patterns where we've been buying particular mediums in particular areas for a long time, and the media landscape changes. And I think it's been a good little nudge to be able to go, oh, okay, we need to just step outside of the routine and take a stronger look at this.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. And who would the hero of the story be?
Yeah, well, I can't believe I'm going to say this. So it's promotions, right? Our promotions have been driving these sales peaks, and the problem I've got with that is that I hate promotions as a marketer. They're the heroine of marketing. They're businesses get addicted to pressing that promotion button like the mice with the cocaine,
Yeah.
and you end up killing yourself because you discount everything and you erode your brand. But the promotions that we do they're kind of like spend and save promotions, spend $100 and get 25 for this period or whatever. So it is a form of discounting, but it's not price and product, and it's not regular. It's only a few times a year. But it does deliver. It does deliver a lot for us, and part of it is above the line, but part of it's below the line as well, stimulating repurchase from existing customers, which is not an advertising medium. It's free, which we love. And so we know it works. We knew it worked anyway, but we didn't realize how hard. And so again, without throwing out the baby with the bathwater, we are for 2026 looking to ramp up our promotional schedule. But interestingly, we were anyway. It's kind of really interesting. Maybe we, without knowing the same data that the model's shown us, we had other sources and other touch points that were pointing us in that direction. And without boring you or going into too much detail, we'd come from a period in 2015 to 2019 of being quite promotions heavy, and then we swung the pendulum the other way. And for the last 5 years, we've been probably 80-20 when it comes to branding versus call to action. And, we're talking about the long and short of it. Les Bonet and Peter Field's seminal work that says it should be 60-40. So we'd been planning to swing back to 60-40 anyway, because we'd done a really good amount of heavy brand lifting in the first 5 years of this decade. So, this really confirmed that for us.
Okay, so it's an extensive, the data, confirming that what you already knew from other sources, and then putting a lot of energy into it in 26, and we can continue to measure it then and make sure it's still doing the job it needs to do. Yeah,
and we'll be able to measure it more effectively too, because we're kind of splitting our acquisition versus our retention promotions. They used to run simultaneously, so it was harder to tell which drove what, but splitting them will help in 26.
Great. Thank you. Elisa, I'll let you jump in if you have a question. We can't hear you, Elisa.
Oh, sorry. No, I think it's really nice to see that it's been conversation starters to have, some data to rely the conversations. How do you, now deal with discussing things with the agency, discussing things internally, how has, having a data perspective as well in the room helped shape some of the conversations?
Yeah, it absolutely helps in a big way. I think the biggest benefit we're looking forward to now, though, is and people who are considering undertaking this will probably be as happy as I was to know this. So the way Seeda works is they'll be like, yeah, you're a client now, and so the model is ongoing, but we can deep dive into areas. And for us, we've talked about the importance of understanding more of because we use a regional approach, splitting the country into regions for our advertising. That's something we've all agreed, yeah, we really want to prioritize that. And then we've also been able to address some of the big mediums that we spend on where we didn't get the confidence that we wanted and the collinearity occurred. And so we're going to prioritize testing that to get to a point where we have confidence with that media or medium. And the fact that you can, as part of your ongoing subscription with Seeda, you can spend a couple of months deep diving into issue A and then B and then C, and who knows what the next issues might be as business needs change and markets change. We might say, oh, we really need to understand more about X, Y, Z, and you guys are there to help us dive into that. I think we're all using AI more, and we're still doing our own data analysis as well, using AI, getting deep into our sales data, understanding the shape of our shopping basket, things that we don't ask of the model yet. But the more useful data, the better. So yeah, we've been loving that.
Great. And a quick shout out to our partner, Supermetrics, who we actually met through a mutual friend, Byron. So yeah, I think a big part of us being able to work with you on that ongoing basis and give you that ability to deep dive is because we're getting all your data in real time from Supermetrics. So it just makes the work, answering your questions a lot easier. So that's a big part of the story.
Yeah, I think we've all over the last 10, 20 years of the digitalization of business and marketing have often struggled. I remember when big data was the hot topic, and we're all trying to work out how to deal with it. And now, yes, with partners like Supermetrics, we can really gather a whole lot of data from a whole lot of different sources with great depth in real time and get it into the model. So yeah, we're stoked about that as well, because I remember the days of uploading what were they called? File transfer
FTP,
yeah. File transfer protocol.
Yeah.
FTP files.
Did you do a few of those back in the 90s?
Oh, it's 9 p.m. I better upload my FTP.
Elisa, are they still around? I still see them on my MacBook. Are they still a thing?
Not really. She's not in my world.
Never even heard of this.
No, it's just called Supermetrics now. Just click one button and your FTP is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think APIs have kind of replaced the good old FTP.
Thank God.
Thank you. Elisa, do you want to ask another question?
Maybe looking at other people that may be having questions about MMM, what would you say to them, someone who's hesitating and spending a lot of money on their marketing and not willing to skip to the next level?
Yeah, I think the big elephant in the room is that AI has allowed you guys to create a marketing mix modeling model, which is not, $500,000, and for kind of medium-sized businesses, it was never an option for us. We could never afford it. It was, we're going to get charged way too much. And when you look at, how much we're spending, it just didn't make any sense. But now it's at a level where, the spend can be justified. And and that's the main thing. I don't think there are marketers out there that never wanted marketing mix modeling or didn't want to know where their sales were coming from and which levers to pull. We all want that. It's just a matter of the affordability and the trust levels, the mathematical reliability of it. Because as I said, I spoke to marketing managers of multi-billion-dollar companies with huge marketing budgets who just said, yeah, we can't. We're doing it. We're paying huge dollars for it, but we can't base our decision-making on it. This is, 5 years ago because we don't have – the efficacy is not there. So they're the two big things, that efficacy which builds trust and the affordability, I guess.
And then building on that, in terms of business impact, you're getting a marketer that's clearly seeing what's working and what's not, the hero and villain scenario. What sort of business impact for you said you're a mid-sized business, still doing a lot of revenue. I know we still got to work through what the results will look like, but do you have any hopes as a marketer where you can take your current budget, optimize it, and make X amount of more dollars? Is that the internal business case you're running inside?
There's a couple of that yes is the answer, and that's always been the case. But there's other ways. There's other issues as well. So as I mentioned, we're a franchise, and so the franchises broke up into territories when it comes to advertising. There's 33 of them, and in a lot of those territories, they might be 2 stores in some far-flung part of the country with a small population. And if you go to Meta and say, hey, pump a campaign into there, here's as much money as they like, they're just like, they say, no, don't bother. There's not enough. We can't show this ad to enough people. You're wasting your money. And so TV and radio still makes sense in a lot of those areas, as well as various digital elements. But I think when we were handling 33 different advertising plans a year, and you want to scale up and you want to get, economies of scale through spend. So traditionally for us, of course, it made sense to kind of do TV and radio where 25 plus of those 33 regions were outside of metro, and they're in rural and regional areas, and TV and radio is still working there, and till very recently. So the data is really going to help us get out of a whole kind of long history of buying particular mediums for structural reasons. And so your data's coming in at the same time where the advertising industry continues to fragment and digitize, and those two things are kind of happening together, and allowing us to move away from some of those mediums that we were in purely for structural reasons.
Right.
And the extra analysis helps with the business case to actually change the structure, not just to pull a different lever willy-nilly, because we couldn't have just tweaked our mediums without changing the structure, if that makes sense. Now, a lot of your listeners in different businesses, that might not be an issue for them, but the way our business is, it was. But yes, going back to your main question, we absolutely want to optimize our spend with our current budget. And then the ideal situation is that we can get to a point where the levers we're pulling are having the sales results we're desiring, and we can then lobby for additional budget to achieve even greater results.
Right.
And to do that nationally and regionally, probably a bit hard to do on a local basis when it comes to, local area marketing. But that's part of the bit we're keen to explore as well, where the model's thresholds are for how much spend there needs to be in a geographic area across different mediums for the model to be able to say, yes, we can faithfully predict that, and how granular we can get.
Great. And we look forward to helping you do that as well. So you're a very early adopter. in the mid-market in Australia or globally, I would say, right, you're in the first 1% of mid-market CMOs to actually use this technology, because of what you said. Even 5 years ago, you were talking 7 figures, right, to run this. So AI has helped us make that more affordable and made the technology more powerful. So you're literally one of the first people in mid-market retail in Australia to use it. So a lot of folks out there, like you said earlier, they want it, but they don't know that it's accessible, or they don't know if they can trust it. So what would you say to them now, having, being an early adopter on this new wave of AI, MMM? What would you kind of say to those other marketers out there?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of rolling your sleeves up and getting in there and not just kind of, we didn't just share some data with you and then blindly follow whatever was said. We have had and continue to have so many questions, and we're learning at the same time. And I think this is no different to the AI journey that we're on in all parts of the business. We're all working out how to incorporate AI into our back office processes. My firm belief is that, in the immediate future, we don't want to be implementing AI into our customer-facing processes. At the moment, we have, 650 staff who are subject matter experts and deliver really human, personal attention to people's painting projects. So we're not planning to change that anytime soon. But the back office processes that we can get AI to help us with. And so I think a lot of marketers, if not all marketers and business people, are using AI more. And therefore, my long-winded point is it's not as great a leap now to look at marketing mix modeling, which is using AI, because I think we're all a bit more comfortable with using AI every day now. So that's a good thing for you guys. And then I think it's just a matter of being inquisitive and curious and asking all the dumb questions to learn about it. And I'm a bit of a dinosaur in I've been doing this for a long time, so I remember when we were asking the same questions about this new thing called the internet. So it's really just the next wave. But it's important to not wait and be a laggard. I'd rather be an early adopter than a laggard. Make all the mistakes, work it all out, and at least understand what you're working with. Yeah,
great, thank you. Elisa, have you got any more questions? No?
No.
No, all good. Well, I'm out of questions as well, Joel. Well, I think, this has been fantastic chat. Thank you for coming all the way into the Sydney podcast studio. And we look forward to working with you for a long time to come.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
All right.